Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another round of sound. This is the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown, year number 25, and this, the NFL opening week. And we had some interesting stuff to talk about. We'll get into Pitt, a big win yesterday, and what it means heading into the backyard brawl. But, of course, the #1 topic tonight on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown will be a Steelers 18-10 win. And here to break it down is your panel tonight, 93.7 The Fan stalwarts. We have Joe Starkey from The Joe Show, who made an eagle today. I got to point that out. I don't want you to comment. It will take too long, and you'll be knocking on your neighbor's door telling them anyway later. We have Andrew Fillipponi and Chris Mueller. The PM team is here in person.
I can't escape the last 11 years of my career. It's sitting right next to me, Bob.
Was Will Graves unavailable tonight? Is he out covering gymnastics? What happened?
Well, let's get right into this.
Three of us.
Not many people thought you could win in the NFL consistently with a run defense and a pass defense that's that good, plus not having much of a pass game, just run the football and don't make mistakes. But Mike Tomlin's made a habit of this, and we've seen it quite a bit. And we saw it again today. Joe, we've seen this play out many, many times. Were you surprised that it was successful today, given the fact that Justin Fields had a history of turnovers?
No, I mean, it's been successful to the tune of barely being above the, average in the NFL. But Mike Tomlin knows and has admitted that just winning is not good enough. They were 6-4 last year when they fired Canada. He went to the podium and for the first time that I ever heard in his career said just winning is not enough. We need to engineer victory more fluidly. So credit to them for today. But if they don't start engineering victory more fluidly, it's going to be another typical Steelers season. They've had these wins early in seasons. They crushed Josh Allen and Joe Burrow. Last year, after that San Fran game, they won a bunch of games strictly on defense. It's not going to last like this. Great for today, not a recipe for long-term success.
Plus, they ignored the middle of the field largely, maybe by design, Andrew.
Well, this has been the blueprint since Ben left,
right,
which is play defense, don't turn the ball over, and hope that the other team beats itself. And that's pretty much what happened again in this game today. To your point, how far can this take you? I don't think very far. But I can't blame them for going into this game with this attack because Atlanta had a quarterback that hadn't played in a long time since his Achilles injury. Their defense wasn't very good, and they felt like they had an advantage with their pass rush against their offensive line. So all's well that ends well.
I mean, I had them losing this game, so I give them credit for winning it, but I think Joe made the best point so far. These games, you can win them like this early. They've done it to open seasons 2 out of the last 3 years, but what happens when Patrick Queen's dinged up and doesn't play? There's a Bijan Robinson run where he fights off a block and makes a tackle, or maybe that's 40 yards down the field. I think you saw the execution of basically last year's offense. I understand it's a different coordinator, different scheme, but man, it just looked like a way more athletic dude than Kenny Pickett in there running it, right? Like, he can make a throw down the field. He can run and take on defenders because he's 6'3", 225. This is not, I feel like a broken record here. This is not a sustainable way to succeed in the NFL.
Tomlin told Pam Oliver, kicking field goals ain't going to cut it.
Well,
but they played to kick field goals.
Right.
Many of their plays were set up to just kick and go for 3.
Felt like there was a Palco slide
until he gets to the point where he can go up 8 and then he doesn't kick a field goal.
We'll get into that in a second, but let's talk about Chris Boswell, because I don't know if you've seen a better effort by a kicker in any one single game ever. I mean, given what he was facing, not only the 6 field goals, but because he had to come in as a punter, Joe, that's as good an effort as I've ever seen from a kicker.
It might have been the greatest game by a kicker in NFL history, non-playoff. I'm serious. He's 1 short of the record for number of field goals, which is 7. He had 6, should have had 7. If Tomlin let him kick it, he was 1 short of the record for 50-yard field goals. The record's 4. He had 3, so he had 6 plus 3 from 50, plus a 43-yard punt in the shadow of his own goal line with the game on the line. Find me a kicker who had a better game ever.
He might have in Kansas City in that ice storm game where he had 6 and they won with 6 field goals. That's the last time they won without scoring a touchdown. The time before that was actually in 08 against the Chargers. So they never win just kicking field goals, and they did today. And I give Tomlin credit in this respect. He knows he has a weapon in his kicker, and he used him that way. The Ravens used to do that for years with Tucker. We can play for 55-plus yard field goals, and they did in this.
Unless you're in Indy last year and you're down 2 touchdowns, and he punts from the Colts' 39-yard line.
So I was going to say, Mike Tomlin, Chris, is not always just relied on. He knows now Boswell is reliable from
indoors.
Any distance.
Boswell should be
but early in
considered
his
good
career,
to 60.
he never really did that, but now he is. And that's my question, though. Does it become too much of a luxury so that you rely on it all the time as opposed to making?
Man, I would hope that he understands he can get away with it here because his defense is healthy. They're playing terrific. You are indoors, so his functional range should be right up to 60 yards.
What's it next week in Denver? 70?
Right, well, yeah, maybe
altitude.
thin air. Yeah, maybe thin air. Right. It's not a situation. They ran so many plays. Like I said, I kind of worked a Palco slide reference in there. There were so many times in this game it was very evident, hey, we think we can make a 55-yard field goal. We call that a high percentage attempt for us, so we're gonna cater to that. You just are not going to win a lot of football games, especially on the back half of this schedule, playing that way. The first 2 games of this NFL season should have showed you what it really takes to be good. Teams scoring a lot of points. I know the Ravens-Chiefs game wasn't like a light-em-up affair, but you saw 4 very good offenses that can function at a very high level. They don't have that right now. Nice to win this game. Come on, though. 3 doesn't get it done.
The other thing I'm thinking about is their offensive line, Joe, because coming into this game with the injuries they had, inexperience that they had, given the fact that Atlanta juiced up on defense quite a bit, I thought that was going to be a tough matchup. But they ended up dominating the line of scrimmage. Were you surprised by that?
Dominating?
34 minutes to 25 minutes. How about Atlanta had the ball very little in the second half?
Bob,
because
how much
the
dominating
offensive
is a little
line-
strong
Joe,
for
I
me.
mean,
They
My
acquitted
point was
themselves
dominating
okay.
the ball of possession.
Yeah,
They
for
had-
young guys, I thought they did well in that environment. Frazier.
I mean, they averaged 3.3 yards per carry in this game.
You understand what I'm trying to
Now
say.
I do,
is
yes.
They never had the ball because the offense, even when they didn't score, went 13 plays, 72 yards.
I know, but I think that's a function of having a quarterback who can get first downs with his legs. I mean, I'd give Frazier credit in Fields after that very shaky early performance with the snaps. I thought they played like a fairly clean game. Like Jones coming in there and getting offsetting personals. I think he's defending his guy. I don't have like a problem with that. But they didn't have a ton of like little procedure ticky-tack stuff.
I had a problem with that.
I had a problem with him being called for a penalty.
You can't do that at that point. It shouldn't have been a penalty. But Greg Olsen said on TV, what you did, I don't have a problem. He's just going over there to defend the guy.
They always get the second guy.
Don't do that
I feel
at
like
that
they got
point
the second,
in the game.
third, and fourth guys there. I mean, here's where I'll agree with that. We've seen what the officials in these games are willing to call or not call. You cannot take it as an article of faith that they will properly adjudicate that situation.
The offensive line protected Fields well. He takes longer than any quarterback in the league to get rid of the ball. Now, oftentimes he can make a bad line look good because he can get out of there. But it didn't feel like he was like under duress the whole game.
Right.
Conversely, on the other side in the second half, Cousins was, and you could tell he felt the nerve of I need to get rid of the ball or I'm going to get murdered in this game.
Yeah, and that's the guy coming back from surgery. That's going to be the problem with them.
They didn't go after Fields either. I didn't think they tested the offensive line. I thought they
spied
they were afraid
and they waited.
they were afraid of his running ability, and they never really went after them and tried to confuse them with blitzes
in a way
or
it
anything
worked.
like
The
that.
Steelers never scored a touchdown.
Right.
Well, yeah,
It's hard to win a game and not score a touchdown, but they made that something they could do.
The irony of Justin Fields is he does not use the middle of the field as a thrower of the football, but when he runs up the middle, as I think when he's at his most devastating, when he finds seams in the middle of the field, and you could tell they had spies on him. Hey, we don't want this guy to run 60 yards between the hashes to beat us in this game. And it did work. It's just that they have Boswell.
Well, we have a lot to talk about, which leads us to the next question. Who will be the quarterback in Denver? On our postgame show, Chris Hoke said he had an answer for that. I want to find out what these guys think. It's all coming up as we continue with the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown right here on KDKA-TV. A lot of very interesting plays in this game today, and I mean, we're in the overreaction business one way or the other, so let's get to it. Chris Mueller, 4th and 1. Logic says at that point, maybe take the points, make it an 8-point game. Mike Tomlin says he doesn't live in his fears and he wanted to put the game away. What was your take before the play was called? Did you like that call?
I normally would with most teams that can get 1 yard. If Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid want to put that game away with some little shovel pass, fine. I watched this team, though. They were the Keystone Cops trying to get plays off cleanly. I would have taken you're automatically up by 8. You cannot lose the game on the next defensive possession and live to fight another day. But normally, with a better offense, I would absolutely go for the kill shot there.
I'm with Chris. I know that it ended up working, so I guess Tomlin in the end gets it right because his defense forced a very quick, was it either 3 and out?
3 and out. They bailed him out immediately.
Yeah.
So in that way, he was right. But, man, in the moment, I thought he should have put himself up a touchdown plus the 2-point conversion.
Crazy. Crazy. Either you're there to win it conservatively by giving the ball to Cordero Patterson on 3rd and longs. That was the whole theme of that game. Then suddenly, at the end of the game with the game on the line, oh, we're not living in our fears now? Kick a field goal and play defense. They would have needed a touchdown and a 2-point conversion with Kirk Cousins just to tie you. That was crazy to me. And then the whole thing about living in your fears, please. Have we heard enough of that? Again, they punted from the Indy 39-yard line last year. He punted on 4th and 1. You heard him today again say, 4th and 1, if we can't get that.
We don't deserve to win.
They were down 12 at home to Cleveland in a playoff game with a 4th and 1 at their own 46, and he punted.
Punted the game in that season.
And he punted.
Away. And they got exactly what they deserved in that game when it happened.
Yeah,
Nick
either
Chubb
you're
ran
living
all
in
over.
your fears or you're not. Which is it?
All right, which is it? Quarterback-wise. So back to you, Chris. Who's it going to be this week? Chris Hoke said, without a shadow of a doubt, 100% it's going to be Russell Wilson. He's going back to Denver, fine. If he's healthy, I can see Mike Tomlin doing that, although I don't know if that's the right call based on winning performance, no turnovers, and the guy seemed to manage the game the way they wanted him. On the road, that's how they prefer to play.
I said this to Andrew. We ran through these hypotheticals on the show this week. I said, what if Fields has like an okay-looking stat line? Maybe he doesn't turn it over, but he doesn't do anything great, and they win like a slot fest. And I basically said like 19-16.
And you were right on.
Like and I said that would be tough for me to go back to him. Now, if Wilson's health to me here is the big story, because I have no reason to believe, no matter what they said, that he went right up till game time. I think he was pretty much done. Right. So I would go back to Wilson. I can't believe I'm saying this.
Really?
Here's why. Fields didn't turn the ball over. The first snap of the game, he's got to fall on and barrel roll forward. There were other plays where he was putting the ball at risk, mainly with fumbles. Yes. That would make me nervous if I were Mike Tomlin. Like, I had gotten away with it once on the road. I might try to not get away with it twice.
I don't think he got away with it. I think the guy basically executed the game plan the way that Tomlin wanted him to play this game. So in that respect, I think he passed the test. He didn't get away with anything with Fields. It's not like they turned the ball over 3 times and barely won. I think he played the way he wanted him to.
You don't think they got away with like turnovers not happening because he managed to pounce on the football?
I mean, other than
fumbles?
that first drive, that first drive, but after that, I don't think he had another. There was not a throw, in my opinion, with Fields where I looked at it and said that should have been an interception.
Well, wait a second here. You said that, and you've said it now. Wasn't that the Kenny Pickett plan?
Yeah, well,
yes.
Don't
It's
turn the ball over.
It's been every
Don't
plan
turn the
since
ball
Ben
over. We'll
Roethlisberger.
kick field goals. We'll play
It's been
defense.
Mitch Trubisky
There's
practice.
no way that was a performance that you want to translate to next week and the week after. If Russell Wilson's healthy, he's got to be.
But Joe, I think that's how Mike wanted him to play this game. I think he wanted Fields to play that way. I think if Russell Wilson would have played, it would have been the same exact game plan.
Because he probably feared if he asked him to do more, they would have lost the game.
Okay, here's my take, though. I think if Russell Wilson played in that game, I think the Steelers would have lost. I think offensively, the reason why they even got those field goals was mostly because of 2 things. Fields' legs that move chains, and some of those plays he made to Pickens in critical situations, especially those 3 points he stole at the end of the first half with that long throw.
He made some winning plays, but they didn't score a touchdown.
No, I understand.
There was also confusion, by the way.
And is Russ not able to make that throw? That's the one thing he does well. Is
Right,
like
he goes
sit there in a
pretty
clean
well.
pocket and rip a deep ball.
I was just
How about
surprised they
those
allowed
runs
that
for
to
first
happen.
downs, though, Chris?
I just think that
the
those are
57
a
rushing
function of the
yards I
game
thought
plan.
were huge today.
Yeah, they were.
But I think you put
A lot
a
of
game
them came
plan
in.
out there that trusts Russell Wilson more if he's your quarterback. Here's why Mike's going to probably go with Justin Fields unless Wilson's like 110%. He's going against a rookie quarterback. And he probably figures, did you see the stats on Bo Nix?
Yeah,
I think
2
three guys
interceptions.
three guys ever have attempted 40-plus passes and thrown for as few yards as he did. Yeah. And one of them was Roethlisberger at 40 of all things. We know what he looked like.
But I thought Fields showed him today that he could effectively do the conservative game plan. And the fear for this game, I thought, was if we play Fields, he's going to be too boom or bust, and he's going to find a way to screw the game up. He did not do that today.
No.
Yeah.
He almost did, though. As Chris said, there were a couple of those balls.
Well, the other guy did. He threw 2 interceptions, and he screwed up the fumble play on the pre-snap.
But he also had a fumble. There was confusion on the 4th and 1. You heard Olsen on the telecast.
That was a mess.
Everybody's looking at Fields. He said at least.
True.
What's the play here? And they got stopped on that play. Right. I don't know, man. It seems like it was a Kenny Pickett game to me. Minus, obviously,
Does that
Fields,
mean it was a Matt Canada called play, too?
May have been.
we got to go to a break on that note. And when we come back, we're going to talk about the fact the Steelers are on top of the AFC North. What else happened around the league? We'll get into that next, right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. Every team in the AFC North lost, with the exception of the Steelers, who are 1-0. So biggest takeaways from week 1 here. Joe, start with you.
I mean, for me, it's the AFC North, and it's the Bengals, and it's Zach Taylor's going to have to rethink how he does the preseason. This happens every year. You lose to the Patriots at home, and then Deshaun Watson and the Browns. Oh. That could be an epic disaster this year.
I think the biggest one is the Browns, because they've got Watson for 2 years after this. The cap hit, because the way they move the money, is $72.9 million next year and the year after. You guys know I love this guy. I think the better quarterback on that roster is Jameis. I really do.
And that's not saying all
but
that
they
much.
Can't do it. They can't go to him.
Where's Joe Flacco when you need him? You know, I mean,
it's just anybody. He's not a good quarterback. They showed his passing chart at halftime. It looked like a bad Kenny Pickett chart. Every pass completed was within 3 yards. He had no passes over the middle that he actually completed. The big story for me, though, I'm going to take a left turn here. We all know the AFC North. Hey, good, you're the only 1-0 team. I heard the Browns radio crew when I was listening to games on my way in talking about how they missed an opportunity. It's the Chiefs, man. Again, when it matters the most, that guy makes plays. That team looks like they're only going to get better. Buffalo should be investigated for organizational malpractice for trading so that they could end up getting Xavier Worthy.
Hey, they had a nice comeback win today.
I mean, nice comeback win for Buffalo, but, is anyone going to beat the Chiefs? I'm with Joe. I know he said this on the air. No, I think they're going to three-peat. You might as well just fast forward.
By the way, Baker Mayfield today just underscored again.
The Browns.
What if the Browns had just kept him?
Yeah, that was the move to make. Stefanski wanted him.
And I think we're going to get an answer at some point soon as to if the Steelers made the right decision with their quarterbacks, because not only are we going to see Wilson and Fields, but I think we're going to see Mason Rudolph in Tennessee sooner rather than later. And if he goes in with Calvin Ridley and DeAndre Hopkins and the guys they have there and plays well, look out, because we're going to have that whole debate again. Did they make a mistake with him? And
Chris Hoke will be coming onto shows like
Kool-Aid. Chris Hoke.
Yeah, Chris Hoke will be coming onto shows like Kool-Aid Man, just bursting in to talk Mason.
You think they made a mistake to the point where
Mason.
Rudolph is better than Wilson
No, I
and
would have
Fields?
kept Rudolph around first and foremost. I would have just kept him around.
Instead of who?
I just would have kept him around. They got rid of the entire room. I would have kept him around.
So he'd be your third-string quarterback?
Kyle Allen, I mean, what's the difference?
I guess.
Real quick, 30 seconds. Dak Prescott got $60 million a year. A lot of people thought Dak Prescott would be the future quarterback of the Steelers. So your take on that contract? Surprising?
I mean, he puts up huge numbers. He doesn't get far in the playoffs, but you can say that about a lot of guys, right? You had to pay him. They had to pay him.
He doesn't get talked about like Jackson, though, because I think he throws the ball but fails in the playoffs. Lamar runs the ball and doesn't succeed in the playoffs.
I guess it was just going to happen.
Well, it's just, to me now, just puts Mike McCarthy in a bigger pressure cooker because the wide receiver got paid, the quarterback got paid, and he did not get an extension. So he's the only one now that's really playing for his future there.
We got to take a break. Come back. Pitt was it. Now they got West Virginia. What does it mean in the ACC right now? We'll talk about it next right here on the #1 Cochran Sports Showdown. All right, how about the Pitt Panthers? Biggest comeback in over 50 years. They did it yesterday when you least expected it. Joe Starkey, what does that mean for the Pitt Panthers in the ACC first before we go to West Virginia? Because it's a weak ACC.
I just want to focus that they had an incredible comeback, because then it looks like I'm negative. I can't read anything into it. It's Cincinnati. They stink. But it was an amazing comeback, an exciting game. Desmond Reed is my new favorite athlete in Pittsburgh. He's unbelievable. It was great.
Does it change your opinion about Pitt?
No.
So you said at the beginning of the year, 3 wins? Did you say that?
3?
Well,
what?
They were 3-9 last year. I forgot.
No, I said like 7-5 or something. I don't remember.
Then I misheard that. Never mind. Go ahead, Pony.
Well, I mean, I think it changes this. If they lose that game, especially with the way it was going, I mean, you start to think they're stuck in this rut of not 6-6 mediocrity anymore, but they're just a flat-out bad, really bad football team.
Yeah.
So they avoided.
I mean, was that more about Pitt doing what they did or Cincinnati imploding?
Well,
I think Cincinnati had a lot to do with
They
this.
imploded, but what I have wanted to see for years with Pitt was they weren't going to win being Alabama of the North. We'll out-recruit you and run pro style, gimmick up the offense with a hyper-tempo guy. They finally did it. I wanted to see what it actually looked good against decent competition, like a Power 5 school or Power 4 school. And they got 300-plus yards and ripped off 22 points.
Also,
don't
they just need – they also just deserve credit for not being the team that imploded.
Right.
Because usually the shoe is on the other foot.
Yes,
usually
that
it's
is
them
correct.
blowing
Bob,
that
I think
lead.
it means they're going to win the national championship.
Okay, good. Playoff
Didn't you pick
bound,
Duquesne
right?
to do that in college hoops?
But if you're in the ACC, you have a legitimate chance to get in there. All right, real quick, Pitt, West Virginia. Malsey, we'll start with you on this one because West Virginia, I would imagine, would be favored. Are they?
They are 5.5.
By 5.5. I knew it was going to be a favorite. I didn't know by that much.
I know.
Who do you like?
I know. Dude.
I think Pitt will cover, but I have a hard time picking them to win this game. I don't know why. I just do.
I think West Virginia is going to be able to run the ball on them consistently. They had 2 100-yard rushers in their last game. I think Green is still also a threat to run the ball, so I'm going to take them to come in here and win that game, Joe.
Pitt's going to win this game outright. The Fighting Neil Browns are not good. They get, how many yards did they give up to Greg Gattuso and company?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, how about this? If it happens, you know what this will be the first time Pitt's ever had an undefeated non-conference season.
Yeah.
It's never happened.
That's correct. Well,
Ever.
since
What?
No.
They have no more. You're right.
It's never happened.
Never happened.
Well, they have Youngstown State, but maybe they'll find a way to blow that one.
Paul Chris walking through that door.
That game is coming up over the weekend. Meantime, if you're looking to sell your vehicle, we got some news for you. You can bring it to the live auction event September 19th through the 21st at number 1 Cochran's Nissan and Chevrolet stores in Cranberry. Thousands of dealers across the country can bid against one another for your vehicle during the 20-minute online auction experience. And after bidding closes, you decide whether you want to sell, trade, or keep your vehicle with payment on the spot if you accept. Learn more at Cochran.com. We'll be right back. It's been fun. We are done. But one quick note, Joe Starkey had an eagle today. Just want to give you a little shout out. Now you'll be addicted again.
Yeah,
right? Now
again. I've been addicted for months. I called Malsey right away.
I got a text at like 7 in the morning about this.
He's addicted.
Oh, God.
That's going to do it. Thank you guys for being here. We appreciate it. We'll do it again next Sunday night. Steelers at Denver. We'll be talking about the outcome of that game and who will be a quarterback. All coming up this week on KDK. Thanks for joining us for the Showdown next Sunday night. We'll see you.